Alright guys, hope you're doing well, keeping safe, and hopefully you all had a good weekend. The Division 2 has ruined my gaming experience, this is true. If you are a regular user of the Division 2 Ubisoft forums, you may have seen a thread with the exact same heading as the title of this video, and that's because I've stolen the thread title for my video. It just fits so perfectly for what I wanted to talk about in today's video, and I'd love for you guys to leave a comment with your own feelings on this one as well down in the comment section, because I'm wondering how many people feel the same way. Alright, let's begin. So I've been playing The Division since day one. I wasn't covering it, I don't believe, since day one, but I was definitely interested in it all the way back before it came out. I think back in 2013. And I kind of remember it like it was yesterday, because the first game in particular has had a profound effect on my gaming experience. Now, before The Division and The Division 2, I mainly played FPS games. Call of Duty World at War, a game that I spent hundreds, thousands of hours on playing when I was at university, Battlefield, and many other FPS titles. For the most part, The Division was probably my first kind of real looter shooter game. I did play Final Fantasy VII when it first came out, but I was like 8 back then, and I really didn't know the differences between game genres. Not that Final Fantasy was a looter shooter, but it kind of had those aspects within it. Now, playing The Division and now The Division 2 has created this urge to want something similar, somewhat better. But the problem is, there simply isn't another game for me that feeds the urge The Division has created. Only The Division has been able to do that. Now, what I will say is, not so long ago, Destiny was kind of the game that I really loved. In fact, at one point, I think I even remember saying in a video that Destiny was probably my favourite game of all time. And whilst Destiny is certainly up there, when I really think about it, I think Division is definitely number one. Now, I made a video recently when we found out the Division 2 and the Division Heartlands would not be at the Ubisoft Forward event. In that video, I said I wasn't overly bothered by not hearing anything at this stage for many reasons, but just to highlight a couple in case you guys never watched it. Number one, we're still about 6 months out from the new content, and what I wouldn't want to do is for the devs to make promises in a trailer, set those high expectations, and then the content not meet those expectations, even if the content is good, and thus we're all disappointed. Number two, it would take like 2 months for the devs to create a trailer and for it to get approved for release, and that's time better spent on just making the content as good and as polished as possible. The thing is, whilst I genuinely, that's a word, didn't mind not seeing anything at the Ubisoft Forward event for the reasons I just said, I also really need my fix of Division content, because nothing else quite does it. Now, I've been playing a lot of Elder Scrolls Online lately. I'm up to level 30, I believe, and I'm enjoying it. Battlefield 1 I've played a lot of recently, and I even went back to Outriders to check it out, as I haven't played it for months now, and I'll be making a video on that soon. And whilst I've been enjoying myself, for sure, I actually enjoy logging into SO every single day almost, I know, should any new Division content come out, I'm just going to drop any game that I'm playing in a heartbeat. Whether that be Battlefield, whether that be SO, it doesn't matter what it is, it's going to be dropped instantly. And I'm going to be wanting to play that new Division content, just because that's what really makes me want to play games. The worst part is, every week I fire up the Division 2 and I do a couple of control points, my favourite activity in the game by a mile, just because it's so dynamic. And even though you can play the same control point over and over, a lot of the time it does vary in many ways due to the other stuff that happens around it. But what I will say is, in those first couple of minutes of firing up the game, I feel at home. That sounds stupid, but that's how I feel. But I also soon remember that, I've run these control points a million times, and I've played the missions a million times, and I've kind of done everything that I wanted to do in the game. I'm not a huge person to invest tons of hours in loads of different builds. I find a couple of builds I really, really like, I get them to their max potential, and that's where I sit, and that's where I'm at in the game. Now, I remember that we're still about 6 months out from the new content, and we really have no idea what is actually coming at this point. We know a new game mode is coming out. You've only got to look at when Skyscraper first launched to understand why I have my reservations about this game mode and content coming, but it's hard to get excited for new content when it's been pretty much radio silence. The most recent update we got was when the Division Heartland was announced, and Ubisoft pretty much announced as well the same information that we already had months and months ago, except they mentioned this time an ambition for new methods of leveling our agents, which fueled the speculation that we may indeed be getting a level increase with the new content. Something that I selfishly want. I did cover this in a previous video, and I recommend you watch that one for the reasons why I actually would like a level increase. It's selfish, of course, and I don't know if it's the best for the game, but for me personally, I would love a level increase with new content. But that's it though. Aside from that, radio silence. There's been nothing. There hasn't been a glimpse of anything. And as someone who tends to get information earlier than most, even if I don't ask for it, just because of the position I'm in with YouTube and stuff like that, it's even more disconcerting to have heard absolutely nothing at this point. Now, of course, we've had Heartland stuff, we've had Division Mobile, Division Novel, we got the film and stuff, so there's other stuff going on for sure. Heartland, I thought was going to be coming out in July. I don't think that's going to be happening now. It's probably going to be later on in the year. It could even be pushed back to next year, depending on the feedback they got from the alpha. Division 2, there's just been absolutely nothing. Now, ultimately, whilst I try my best to look at other games and kind of really get stuck into those, I always come back to the Division. It's like that girlfriend who treats you bad, and you know they do, and all your friends tell you how bad they're treating, but you can't help but always come back because they just have that special something no one else can offer, or certainly hasn't been able to offer up to that point. And that's pretty much how you would sum up this game as someone who's been playing it for the last, I don't know, how long has it been now? 6 years? I do enjoy other games, and I will likely cover other games on this channel, like the same way I covered Outriders, but then the game quickly fell off for me, which is why I stopped covering it. And I will cover other games that may be of interest to you guys and to myself, but what I know is I'm never going to stop playing The Division because I just don't want to. All I want is Ubisoft to keep providing resources to the devs, and I want them to continue to work on this game. If they believe a Division 3 would be a good idea instead of building on the Division 2, then I want that to happen. No, I want a Division 3 mainly so it can take advantage of the next gen consoles, but I understand the argument there that people would just rather they build on the Division 2. There's no doubt in my mind the Division has ruined my gaming experience, but I don't care, actually. I'd rather have one game I couldn't let go of than play kind of 10 games that don't mean anything to me at all. I'm getting a little bit philosophical there, but I think you guys understand what I mean. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoy this one. Of course, if we do hear anything about the Division 2, it's likely, not guaranteed, but it's likely I will hear it first, and I will cover it first here on the channel. So if you want to make sure you don't miss any Division news, whether that be Division 2, Heartland, Mobile, whatever it might be, then make sure notifications are turned on, and that way you won't miss it. But until the next one, epic out.